Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from Internet Partnership Radio with a special video update on Tropical Storm Beryl, which is currently sitting there off the coast of North Carolina, about 180 miles to the east-southeast of the coast of North Carolina, and this should be moving generally northwestward, northerly, somewhere in this general region over the next few days, and it could strengthen to at least a moderate tropical storm. You can see behind it an upper level low. This upper level low has actually been helping push this outflow on the eastern side of Beryl to the south, so it's ventilating it a little bit. And here's that tropical wave, that pesky tropical wave sitting here that is getting sheared by the upper level low. This could be maybe a problem in a couple of days as it moves in this general direction, but right now, probably not. Elsewhere, there's a tropical wave moving through the eastern Caribbean Sea. Some models hint that that could do something down the road, but as of right now, nothing there. So let's get down to brass tacks here. Tropical Storm Beryl, 40 miles an hour, gusting to 45 miles per hour. This is from 5 p.m. at 8. Probably won't see any change. Moving, at least not much. Moving north at 5,007 millibars was the latest reading, I believe. And you can see the projected path this time tomorrow, getting probably to its closest approach in the Outer Banks, and then this time Thursday starting to move northerly, and then by this time Friday moving on off to the northeast before accelerating, so kind of a hook off to the right as we've seen plenty of times. However, it's not out of the question that somewhere within this circle area can be impacted by this storm. It's still possible that it can move far enough west to where it does impact the Outer Banks, although at this time it looks like a brush from a moderate tropical storm, kind of like Gustav back in 2002, came just hairpin away from nearly making landfall, but it was only 60 miles an hour, brought some wind and rain, but not much. But we're going to take a look now at Tropical Storm Beryl on the latest satellite, and you can see over the course of the evening, the cloud pattern continues to be pretty well organized. You got a good channel to the north, and then once again this upper level low, which is over here, helping ventilate it to the south. And you kind of see the clouds turn in here, but if you notice where the red line is here, you kind of see the outer edges of the center being exposed. There is some dry air trying to get in there, and you can see earlier the outflow started to improve on all sides, but then throughout the course of the day, it has since started to get less organized, I think, with the western edge of it. So we're going to have to wait and see just how much this strengthens. The Hurricane Center says about 65 miles an hour in this area here. So once again, it's going to continue on a track generally like this and then off to the northeast, it looks like. But you want to stay tuned to the Hurricane Center. They're the official source of information, and your local emergency management to hear what they have to say about it. You can see the shear right now is not all that unfavorable over Beryl. As a matter of fact, I'd say it's pretty darn favorable. You can see the shear associated with the upper level low here, but that is to the east and southeast of the cyclone. And so that's actually allowing the tropical cyclone to once again get that outflow channel going. But in general, it's going to have low shear. The only real problem is sea surface temperatures. And if you look at the general sea surface temperatures in the area it is, sitting right about here, not all that cold, but not all that warm either. However, it's expected to strengthen as it heads towards the Gulf Stream and then weaken as it heads on out into cooler waters. Notice the Gulf of Mexico broiling. This is going to be big trouble next month and into September. Here's the model spread. You can see the GFDL doesn't make it too strong, but heads it on up towards Long Island. The latest L-bar continues it off to the northeast, as it does with every system, and the Hurricane Center here has more of a close easterly curve, not so much to the northwest and then the east. So looks like the Hurricane Center is acting curvy here, kind of in the middle of the model guidance, which is where I'd be as well. Again, it's still too early to say with a weak storm, but as it strengthens and gets closer, everybody will be able to zero in on it a little bit better. The NAM, just wanted to show you what the NAM does with it. Here it is in 24 hours. Also notice the tropical wave that we're watching picks up on it. Now keep in mind the NAM could be freak systems, but nevertheless you want to mention them because we do have a tropical wave out there, and it says in 24 hours it'll be there, and there's Beryl in 24 hours. By 48 hours you have Beryl over eastern North Carolina, and another system starting to kind of spin up. This could be associated with that tropical wave as mentioned. Remember 2 years ago we had Hurricane Gaston in South Carolina, and then behind it Tropical Storm Hermine head on up towards Massachusetts. Well, I think this is kind of a Burrell and Chris scenario playing out. There's that tropical wave getting better organized to the west of Jamaica, and another system in the eastern Pacific forming. And then by 72 hours, you have the system Burrell heading still off the coast of North Carolina, with the other system here spinning, as well as the system entering the Gulf of Mexico. And there's our storm off Mexican coast. The eastern Pacific's been tremendous. I'll tell you about that in a second. And then by 84 hours, here's our system in the Gulf of Mexico. Burrell appears to be out of here. Maybe this is it, but it appears to be gone. And there goes our other system off to the north. So, the NAM is picking up on 2 to 3 systems. Burrell has it impacting North Carolina and kind of sputtering around until it dies off. Another system heading on up to the north, and then this tropical wave in the eastern Caribbean Sea developing into something and heading towards the northeast Gulf. Keep an eye on it. Never know. NAM did well with Alberto. You always want to check it out. Here is that tropical wave in the Caribbean Sea. When you have a lot of divergence and thunderstorms and convection and upper level lows and a storm leaving outflow behind, it leaves a whole bunch of mess and just a lot of mess, basically, and anything could spin out of that, so we always have to keep an eye on that. Off the coast of Africa, a very powerful tropical wave moved off yesterday, southeast of the Cape Verde Islands, and it kept this convection pretty strong, and then it died out and now it's starting to come back. As we get more towards August, these waves off Africa become the main players, and we typically see them fizzle out right after they move off the coast, but this one might, do something down the road. It appears to be more on a west-northwest track, so this one might head north of the islands. Doesn't mean that it would head away from land, it just means that it might not go through the islands, if it does at all, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. Here's the eastern Pacific, very active. There's Hurricane Daniel, minimal hurricane, forecast to become a major hurricane. Behind it is a developing tropical system. This would become Tropical Storm Amelia if it forms. So, we got 2 in the Atlantic and we're going on 5 in the eastern Pacific. But let's take a look at the latest on Hurricane Daniel. As of 5 p.m., 75 miles an hour, gusting to 90, Category 1. Moving west at 11, 987 millibars. Forecast this time tomorrow will be a Category 2. This time Thursday a Category 3, and head on out way to the east-southeast of Hawaii as it starts to weaken. So Daniel should not be a concern, but it has certainly strengthened today. Notice how that eye kind of popped out. It's been moving pretty steadily westward throughout the course of the day, and as the sun starts to go down a little bit, there's that tiny eye, and small eyes mean rapid changes in hurricanes. So this one could strengthen more than currently forecast minimal 3. It could become a Category 4 hurricane out here towards, say, 125 west. So we have to keep an eye on Daniel. But as of right now, no other storms in the eastern Pacific. In the western Pacific, we do have a tropical storm, Gamey, and Gamey is forecast to strengthen close to typhoon status as it heads on up in the general direction of Taiwan. Let's take a look at the latest. 40 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 13. And you can see the track here. By Friday evening, it should be heading up quickly towards the southern islands of Japan and Taiwan. Other than that, that is all that is going on in the tropics. Stay tuned to IPR.